Lori, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. It's been a while. It's been a year probably. Last Halloween.
Coming back, probably one of our highest rated episodes, I think. I feel like you're very social, you have a lot of friends. I thought maybe you'd give us a little bump to our...
Well, I will. I will do that.
Yeah.
But as you recall, there were subjects that were discussed, ones that I wasn't really keen.
Oh, when you shit your pants? Were you talking about when you shit your pants?
See, now, Mark, you ruined it again.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Maybe you could bleep that out. You could bleep it out.
Sure.
That's my own fault. How did I not know that would invite that?
Yeah. See, I was trying not to bring it up, and then...
Fall into memories.
Yeah. Now we're far enough away from that, though, that no one's going to listen to those old crappy episodes we did.
In the archive.
Crappy. Did you hear how I said crappy, Lori? Did you get the pun there? You shit your pants and he said old crappy episodes?
I haven't introduced the show in a while, and Mark always... Do you want to do it, Lori?
Do a cool Halloween intro.
Like an accent? Like, Mag Room Saturday afternoon with Mark and Jarrod.
All around the world you can hear them. Hey, hey, hey. Talking about news and kind of funny stuff. Hey, hey, hey. Mag Room. Mag Room. The Mag Room. The Mag Room.
And Lori.
And Lori.
We have a spooky episode this week. Even though this is going to come out a week after Halloween, but...
Yeah. Do you guys want to do a second Halloween? You want to do week after Halloween?
Halloween, there's so much Halloween stuff, and then Halloween's over, a week later, you're like, wait, maybe I could have a little more Halloween in my life.
I'm more of a purist than that. When it's over, it's over.
All right, so last year we did the Edgar Allan Poe story. Jarrod,
which was very long.
He made fun of me for that. So Jarrod decided to make shorter, do two stories this year, add a story to it.
Well, in the second one, you could always put another week, too.
I could do that. You're right.
Like, you could just save it.
So we'll do two Halloween stories, one the week after Halloween, and then one more the week after the week after Halloween.
The Halloween that would never quit.
It's almost Christmas, and we're still holding on to Halloween.
Oh, we're watching that. Is anybody watching The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix?
I don't know that show. Is it any good?
It's really good. It's like a modern day take on it. It just came out. It's very good.
Is there any redeeming characters in it, or are all the people awful?
They're pretty horrible.
Yeah, I don't love that. I like watching nice people. But
there's lots of monsters. It's really good to get you in the Halloween.
Monsters in it too?
Well, yeah, like they see
any nice monsters?
Yeah.
No,
like
nice monsters.
Grover or
Cookie Monster? Are there any Cookie Monsters?
Monster.
Yeah.
No, they're all scary. It's a very good storyline. I highly recommend it.
It's about the hip hop star Usher?
Usher, yeah, when his house fell on him.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine how scary that is?
And he got trapped and he had to sing his way out.
I remember that story.
Yeah, it was like when remember the girl that fell in the well?
Little baby Jessica.
Baby Jessica.
Yeah.
But Tan Mom fell in a well also.
Who did?
Tan
Mom.
Fell in a well? She has a plate in her head because she fell into a well. Am I killing my brother?
Who's Tan Mom? I don't know her.
Patricia Marie.
I don't know that woman.
She's this horrible person that she put her baby in tanning beds with her, and this was like 10, 15 years ago, and she just became like one of those crummy D-list, H-list celebrities, and
If you put your babies in a tanning bed, you become a celebrity?
You don't know how the world works? Yes.
When you go to jail?
Yes, and then when you get out of jail, people want to give you money to come to their parties and shit because you're kind of like, it's fun to laugh at you. So you get paid. You get paid to give away your dignity.
Should we get in character for our show?
Which one are we doing? The first one?
Stay tuned for terror. Who's who here? What are the characters again?
I believe I'm father, right?
Your father, Lori's mother, and then I was being everyone else, wasn't I? Yeah, and I think Nancy doesn't have that many lines either. I looked at it after and I was like, I should play another main. I don't know who Walter is.
You didn't read the story?
You didn't read it?
Your prep?
I didn't read it, no.
I read it. I didn't practice. I assumed I'd be the mother, and then
Are they any good? The ones I picked?
Yeah, very good.
It's terrible. It's awful.
All right, ready? Stay tuned for terror. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for terror. Stay tuned for shivers and excitement. Listen to Craig Dennis. Well, I guess I should say our names there.
He's promoting the 7 a.m. the morning show. Hey, everybody, listen to Craig Dennis in the morning. The Boogeyman will get you. Written by Robert Brioche for Weird Tales magazine.
In the script here, it says the Bogeyman will get you.
And then at the top, it says, and then in the title says Boogeyman, but all the text says Bogeyman. So I think it's up to you. You use your.
All right.
What's your How does your character pronounce this, Jarrod? What's your
The
What's
Bogeyman
your
will get you.
motivation?
It's a guy who's like terrible at golf. All he got was bogeys.
There you go.
Written by Robert Bloch for Weird Tales magazine, and adapted by the author especially for this program. You'll hear it now if you stay tuned for terror. And now, here is Craig Dennis in The Bogeyman Will Get You.
Hi, everybody. Craig Dennis here.
But then the character's name is Walter, so that's me, Walter. I'm Craig Dennis as Walter. You're afraid of the dark, aren't you? Oh, but you are. I know all about you, do you understand? You were afraid of the dark when you were a child. Not because of robbers or thieves or murderers. Children don't think of such things. You were afraid of the dark because of the Bogeyman. That's the name your parents used, Bogeyman. One of those smart, sophisticated grown-up words. But there is terror behind it. When you were a child, you knew what the Bogeyman looked like. You would see him in your dreams. That black grinning shape with wicked red eyes and clutching claws, wearing a golf outfit. You heard his buzzing voice mumbling to you in his sleep when you had nightmares and you'd wake up screaming for your mother. Admit it, you did scream, didn't you? And now that you're grown up, you laugh about it. But deep down inside, you're still afraid. You say you don't believe such things? It's all superstition? Ha ha ha. Then why are you still afraid of the dark? Why do you keep the lights on when you're home alone at night? I'll tell you why. Because you know it's true. There are such things as monsters. There are such evil beings. And the Bogeyman will get you if you don't watch out. Well, what do you think of it?
Marvelous. I don't know how you do it, Walter.
Great stuff. You say it's part of a new essay?
That's right. Looks like I'll have it finished this week.
Walter, you work too hard. Cooped up all day long in that cottage of yours. Why don't you relax?
That's just why I rented the cottage, to stay cooped up and get some work done. A book doesn't write itself, you know.
I don't see how you fellas do it. Writing, I mean. Me, I'll stick to the human trafficking business. Oh, did I say human trafficking? I meant life insurance. The life insurance business.
Life insurance must be a wonderful thing.
You mean to tell me you're not insured, man?
It now, darling Walter. You'll have to excuse that husband of mine. He's always trying to sell something. Louis, let the poor man alone. We invited him over here tonight for a visit, remember?
I appreciate it too. You folks are very kind to ask me in. But I'm apt to bore you with my essays.
Bore me? Oh, nonsense. You nearly scared me stiff.
Is that why Nancy isn't around? Do I scare her too?
Oh, of course not. The child's probably out with her gang. You know, the Bobby Sox crowd.
Nancy is a very remarkable young woman. She didn't strike me as a typical member of the younger generation at all.
Well, she isn't really. Nancy is very mature for 17. Too mature, I'm afraid. I've thought about human trafficking her.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Now take what she was saying about you the other day.
Louis.
Oh. I guess I put my foot in my mouth that time.
Nancy said something about me? What was it?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, I've forgotten just exactly what it was.
Please tell me. I won't be offended. I'm curious. I've noticed that daughter of yours watching me, and I'm wondering about it.
You're having this conversation with me? I'm her dad. Well, you'll have to excuse her, waiter. Wait, oh, Walter. Sorry. I didn't mean... Walter.
Now we're at a restaurant.
Walter, I know you work at this restaurant, but I didn't mean to call you waiter. I was just thinking the word. Well, you'll have to excuse her, Walter. She's just a kid after all. We were talking about why we never saw you in the daytime, out in the tennis court or at the beach. And she said, that's not so strange. Vampires always sleep in the daytime.
Vampires?
Don't adolescents get the funniest notions sometimes?
Oh, yes, yeah, they do, of course.
She's awfully interested in you, really, Walter. After all, you're handsome. A stranger here at the resort, an older man. I do believe she's getting a crush on you, but tries to hide it by crazy remarks.
Calling you a vampire. Where does she get such ideas? Reads too many books, I say.
Yes.
Silly kid, though. I asked her why she thought you were a vampire. Know what she said?
What did she say?
She said it's because you don't eat any food.
She said what?
Did you really not hear me? She said you don't eat any food. Did you not?
Nancy said she'd asked around town at the grocery store and the butcher shop, and that you never bought any food.
I shut her up in a hurry, though. Young lady, I said, with a fist raised. Apparently you don't know how much bachelors eat. Excuse me, what did I say? Well, can I just start it over? Here, I'm going to start over. I shut her up in a hurry, though. Young lady, I said, apparently you don't know much about bachelors' eating habits. Did you ever hear of places called restaurants, you idiot? You should have seen the look on Nancy's face when I Oh, why, hello, Nancy. We were just talking about you.
So I heard.
Where are your manners, dear? Aren't you going to say hello to Mr. King?
Good evening, Nancy.
Nancy, Mr. King spoke to you. Nancy, what are you doing, child?
She's making the sign of the cross, an ancient custom. It's supposed to ward off vampires.
That's a good one. Well, young lady, how come you were running around in the dark tonight? Aren't you afraid of evil spirits or the homeless?
Don't joke about things you don't understand, Father.
Nancy, that's no way to talk to your father. Where were you?
Just walking. Walking with Billy Leggett.
Who?
Up in the hills under the hemlock trees. We really were just walking.
That Billy Leggett. I'll f***ing kill it.
I suppose that's where you lost your scarf, young lady.
Yeah, lost, yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't know I'd lost it. Well, folks, I've got to be running along. It's getting late.
So soon?
Yes, it's getting a little late.
All right, Walter. See you around. Sure you don't mind walking home alone, pretty little boy like you?
Of course not.
Maybe we should send Nancy along with you to protect you from vampires.
Nancy was a silly little girl, I knew it. But still, she upset me. Maybe it was because she was so beautiful and she hated me so. Thought I was a vampire. Just a silly little girl with a queer idea in her pretty head. I wondered what she was trying to do. That night when I got back to the cottage, I found out. I stood in front of the door and saw something lying on the path. It was Nancy's scarf. What had she been doing here? She said she had gone for a walk to the hills near the hemlock trees with Billy Leggett. But here was her scarf. As I opened the door, my hand touched something. A wreath on the doorknob. A wreath of hemlock. Hemlock, that's what you put on the door to keep vampires away. I thought about it all night. What was that girl up to? The next day I investigated a little. I found out plenty. Nancy had spread her legs, talk all over the village. Talk about me, my habits, how I stayed in all day and came out all night, about my not eating at home. She even tried to call New York to check up on me, whether I really had a job and so on. She told the minister I didn't dare come to church and said I had no mirrors in my house because a vampire couldn't look into mirrors. This wasn't funny anymore. Foolish kid was making trouble for me. Somehow she had this mad obsession about not vampires. I had to talk to her. So that night I started over for her place. But before I arrived, I ran into her by accident on the path.
It was at this point they realized that by not reading his assignment, Jarrod had given himself both parts in a two-person scene. It sounded whack, So Mark and Lori went back and re-recorded it with Mark playing Walter and Lori playing Nancy. They would like to apologize for the unevenness of the scene, the production, and the episode as a whole. We'll do better next time.
Oh, you startled me.
Sorry, Nancy. I didn't mean to frighten you. But say, I've been looking for you. Let's take a walk, shall we?
Well, really, Mr. King, I have a date.
Only for a few minutes, my dear. And why so formal? Call me Walter. By the way, I seem to have a speck in my eye. Have you a mirror in your purse?
A mirror? Why, yes, here it is.
Oh, good. Let's see. Ah, there. I've got it. Thank you.
You looked into the mirror.
Of course. And I found the hemlock on my doorknob last night, too.
Oh.
Oh, don't look so startled, Nancy. I know all about your ideas. You thought I was a vampire, didn't you? Just because I work all day, and eat in restaurants, and walk at night. But you're wrong. You know that now, don't you? I look in mirrors and touch hemlock and all the rest.
Oh, yes, I see. I guess you think I'm an awful fool, Walter.
Yes, obviously. Not at all. I think you're a very lovely girl. I wish it wasn't so dark out here, so I could see your hair. You have beautiful hair, Nancy. Look, the moon is rising. I can see you now, Nancy. You aren't afraid of me anymore.
No, Walter, I never was afraid. Not really. I just thought up all this vampire stuff to make you notice me. And besides, all vampires are tall and dark and handsome. Like you.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you. You're a very clever little girl, Nancy. Very clever. I wish you hadn't gone to the police today.
Police? Then you know.
Yes, I found that out too. A search warrant for my house.
Oh, but that was all a joke, and you aren't really a vampire, so it doesn't matter. When they come now, we'll laugh at them.
I'll laugh at them. You won't.
Walter, what are you doing? Let go of me. Walter, what's happening to you? You're changing. Walter!
Too bad you were such a meddling little fool, Nancy.
Oh!
I can't let you get away now. It would spoil everything. You guessed too much.
Walter, let me go! Walter! Oh, for heaven's sake! It is true! You're a vampire!
No, my dear, I'm not a vampire. I'm just a werewolf. Curtain.
I'm not a vampire. He says, I'm just a werewolf. Like, are werewolves lower down on the monster scale? Wouldn't they be just as scary?
I think so.
That's a great question. Well, werewolves aren't invincible, are they? Are vampires invincible pretty much besides their...
Yeah, because they live for 800
They
years,
live
don't
forever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so he's just a werewolf. She probably could have killed him.
they? How do werewolves multiple... If they bite you, do they just kill you?
I don't know.
You turn
And
into
can they
a
just
werewolf.
turn into werewolf on demand? Isn't it like the full moon?
Didn't you see the Lost Boys? They all turned into werewolves when they got bit.
So they get bit. Well, how do they survive? How do they live? How do they eat? Do they also eat people? Do they just bite some people and then they eat other people? Kind of whatever the mood strikes you at that day, hungry,
I
not
guess.
hungry.
So Nancy's going to be a werewolf now?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, that's a kind of a cliffhanger.
But he says he's gonna laugh at the cops, but she won't. So does that mean he's gonna kill her?
And then stay around and tell the cops the story. Like, this is an idiot. She thought I was a vampire.
I'm going
Look.
to tell the cops. You won't tell them, I will.
Yeah, she thought I was a vampire. Look at this hairy chest. You think I'm a vampire? No, I'm a werewolf. So I ate her. Yada, yada, yada. You guys.
I love how he's like a werewolf author, though. You never see those often.
No, you don't hear about that very often.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but would you? You probably read all the magazines and media, the variety magazines and stuff. They don't focus on that kind of thing.
I see, that's true. The mainstream media is trying to hide the...
Truth is out there.
Yeah, and then the beginning it was a little awkward when Walter's clearly coming on to
right in front of the dad.
front of
That's a
them.
ballsy move.
And the dad and mom are like really
They
excited.
seem pretty
about it.
happy about it.
Walter,
Like,
you're a pretty handsome guy, you know.
and you're
kind of-
older. I mean, of course she has a crush on you.
I feel like it needed a better end.
Yeah, both of these stories, you'll enjoy the ends of both of these.
They kind of wrap it up. Time's up. Sisk stories, Halloween theme. But this is an article from Mental Floss about 17 regional words that have to do with Halloween. And I hadn't heard of most of them. So I was going to read them to you, see if you've heard of them, and I could talk about what they are. The first one is Skookum. Skookum. Do you know what that means or where it's from?
It's a town in Illinois, right?
I
Skookum,
don't know the
Illinois.
answer to that. That's not what this says, no.
Skookum. It's a cross between a skeleton and an opossum. The skeleton of an opossum.
Lori, any guess of what it is?
I think it's something that witches use in their potion.
It's actually a ghost, demon, or spirit
Oh,
from the language of the Chinook Native American people.
Mm.
In Alaska, skookum as an adjective means strong, powerful, or good. Like Mark, you gave a very skookum performance as the father.
Thanks, guys.
And then skookum chuck is a turbulent channel of water. Like sometimes when you paddleboard, maybe you get stuck in a skookum chuck.
What if they had a friend named Chuck that they thought was very powerful and strong? Could they call him Skookum Chuck and not get him confused with the...
There's a guy named Skookum Chuck.
Well, what I'm picturing is that they work with two guys named Chuck, and one's a Chinook Indian. So it's like, well, and he's big and strong. So
yeah.
there's
The end of the story would be they'd be out in water and they'd say something about Skookum Chuck, and then the person would be like, oh yeah, I know him, and then they drown.
And drowning, yeah.
Because they get mixed up.
Tragic tale. We can do it in 5 minutes, though, next week. I'll write it up.
The story of Skookum Chuck.
Skookum Chuck.
All right, next one is Tommy Knocker.
Well, there was a movie, a Stephen King movie. It had the movie poster was a monkey.
Yeah, it was a Stephen King movie, but it also means
Monkey.
it would have been good in the last year's story that we did. It's a ghost that lives in a mine.
Oh.
Remember they went down in the mine?
Yeah, they went down. Yep.
You know, I thought about miner. When I was trapped in my ceiling and fell through the roof 2 weeks ago, I was thinking of how poorly I would do if I had to be a miner. I don't like enclosed spaces.
If you had died in your roof, we could have called you a Tommy Knocker.
Right. You guys want to do that anyway? Okay, I'm due for a new nickname, aren't I?
Nice. What's up, Tommy Knocker?
Kind of long, huh?
It is kind of long.
All right, this next one is Booger.
Booger.
It actually, only in 1891 did it mean dried nasal mucus.
Some sort of a monster covered with slime.
It was a supernatural creature, a menacing supernatural creature. In the 1750s, it was a despicable man.
A booger?
That's what it started. Yep. And then it was the guy in Revenge of the Nerds in the 80s. How about a plat eye?
I do know that one, but I'm going to let you guys take the helm. I know the show.
Flat eye?
Yeah.
P-L-A-T-T?
P-L-A-T-E-Y-E.
It's that eyeball in the middle of your head.
It says, careful of plat eyes when you're roaming around at South Carolina at night. Spirits that rise out of graves.
Oh, okay.
And then the plat eye prowl is the time of night they roam. Also would be a great name for a dance. There's only a couple left.
Well, good.
Okay.
How about a hag?
A sister.
Witch, okay.
I mean a witch.
Nice.
Sister.
Could also mean an
There it
evil
is.
spirit of a dead person who causes nightmares by riding the luckless dreamer.
It's hot.
Yeah, it seems a little...
I searched for almost that exact same thing on Pornhub last night when I was going to sleep.
Nice.
Oh, good.
evil spirit riding a luckless dreamer.
It was hot, dude. I always fancy. I picture myself being the luckless dreamer. I'll be honest with you.
That's true.
I'm not the stud in my dreams. I'm the luckless dreamer.
What would be the story if there was like this? You know how the stories always go into that. What would be the story that starts that? Hey, I'm gonna really make it in this town.
I came to,
and then you get slammed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hag comes up and's like, "Hey, maybe I'll make you feel better with a ride, huh?"
Sure, that sounds fantastic.
Uh-oh, father's back.
I was father in the last production. My neighbor's got a it's a reclining skeleton, a skeleton in a beach chair holding a fishing rod, and on the bait for the fish is a fish skeleton. So it's a skeleton man fishing with a fish skeleton. And when I drove by to come here, there was an ibis just staring at the fish, like, and moving his head around. Yeah, it was cool.
That's cool.
I don't fully understand. Would a skeleton person want to eat a skeleton fish?
Oh no, it's not. Doesn't have to do with real life. So it's just a.
I'm just trying to get into character for the skeleton.
Yeah, it's just to be kind of spooky and silly.
Was the outfit, so the people are listening, obviously, you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt with the shirt open and a golf hat. Was that the character? You thought the father would dress like that?
I just came home from golfing to find young Walter on my doorstep, regaling us with tales of his new novel he'd written to try to get to try to get into my daughter Nancy's pants. That dirty little slut. Nancy, dear, come downstairs. I won't try to shield you from the obvious rapist. Come down and talk with us. Why don't you walk him home with? I'm the worst father. I'm the worst father in the world. Why don't you walk the stranger home to his house?
It's like a great idea.
Everybody thinks everybody's suspicious of you anyway. Let's prove them wrong. What's the worst that could happen? Nancy gets raped and comes home a vampire?
Werewolf.
I'm sorry. No, they didn't. But they didn't know he was a werewolf at the time. They still thought I still think he's a vampire.
Good point.
Oh, I see. Maybe he wanted some vampire in his bloodline, in his family, because vampires can be pretty powerful. Mark, do you have anything before we... That was all the Sisk stories I had.
Oh. Well, we're still doing the other play, right?
Yeah, it's only been an hour 5, so if you had something, we could then finish with that.
No, we're good.
Nothing interesting, nothing going on.
I tell you, my neighbor has this skeleton outside of his house, and it's reclining in a chair, and it's fishing.
Interesting. That's
the
great.
bait for the bait to get this part though, the funny part.
You would think an ibis would like that fish. We're gonna do this other one. So who are we again for this one before we start?
I assumed I was Alice.
No, well, Jarrod told me I was Alice.
Mark's Alice, and you're Jim.
Okay.
And I'm the announcer and the police, right? All right, ready? All right, this is the
murder of Mrs. Brooks.
Yeah, you could do the title. Another 5-minute mystery. See if you can solve the case before the end of the program.
Well, Alice, one more block and you'll behold the Brooks household.
2 whole years, Jim. It just doesn't seem possible. It's been so long. You and Dorothy married and with a place of your own.
It's true, all right. Only too bad you haven't taken advantage of the old Brooks hospitality sooner.
Well, I'm here now, and I intend on having a perfectly wonderful time.
Now, here we are.
Oh, what a charming place this is.
Dorothy's probably on needles and pins waiting for me to get you here. Darling, it's Jim. Here's Alice.
Jim, look.
What? Where?
There, on the living room floor. It's Dorothy. Dad.
Mr. Brooks. I'm afraid you and Miss Manning will have to submit to some routine questions.
Just let me ask you something real quick, officer.
Or should I call you?
Where are you from?
I was a pirate. Shiver me timbers.
Okay,
out in
I'm picking up on a pirate accent. I was just wondering why.
I used to live out in the islands, but now I'm reformed.
Why the guy that pulled me over talks like a pirate? I get it now. Okay, well,
I investigate murders.
That's a very good use of your all-letter R, sir. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can, Inspector.
Thank you, Miss Manning. Now, Mr. Brooks, while we're waiting for some information I phoned for, I want you to tell me exactly what happened this morning.
There's nothing much to tell. Both my wife and I were quite excited, expecting Alice, that is Miss Manning here, to visit us from Chicago. I was to wait until she called me at the office.
And you were there all morning?
Yes, until Miss Manning's train arrived and we came out here.
I had written Mrs. Brooks to tell her that I would call Jim at the office as soon as I arrived. The train was an hour late. Maybe if it had been a little earlier, it may have prevented this.
Yeah, you starting to sound like you're cross between the Southern lady and the puberty.
Do
and
your
the
fucking
puberty guy.
your pirate policeman accent. Let's go.
Well, that remains to be seen. Apparently, Mrs. Brooks was sitting here in this chair, putting red polish on her fingernails when she was shot from behind. The polish has spilled all over the carpet, and she was still holding the tiny brush in her hand. She must have recognized her attacker, and since she did not die instantly, she printed these 3 initials here on the floor with the polish. D-O-C.
D-O-C. I wish we could tell whose initials she was trying to reveal.
You're sure you don't know anyone whose name would fit that?
Positive. I can't...
Oh.
Yes, Miss Manning, can you think of somebody with those initials?
Well, I D-O-C spells Doc, and it's Mr. Brooks's nickname. This guy right here, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, Mr. Brooks.
I haven't been called Doc for over 2 years. That's weird. It was a nickname I picked up at school.
Isn't that, just real quick, let's notice right off the bat that that's a pretty weird thing to say, right? He knows exactly when the last time he was called. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted you to keep that in mind. Don't overlook any of the dialogue here.
Simmer down, Alice. Your turn's coming.
Stay in your lane.
It was a nickname I picked up in school. My wife didn't like the name and never used it. No one in New York even knows me by Doc. You've got to believe me, Inspector.
Phone starts to ring.
It's the truth.
Well, that we'll see, matey. Just a minute. Phone pickup. Hello? Yes, Grady. Yes, I see. Well, it's sewed up anyway, thanks. Phone hang up. Well, you'll both be happy to know our little murder is solved.
Then it wasn't Doc after all?
No, Miss Manning, it wasn't Doc.
Thank God.
I'm arresting you, Miss Manning, for the murder of Dorothy Brooks. Theme up and then out. Why did the imposter arrest Miss Manning for the murder of Mrs. Brooks? In a moment we'll hear, but first, this.
You just said imposter.
Why did the imposter? Or the inspector. Alright, that's where we'll cut it. Our listeners have to guess the ending.
Okay.
And we'll start off next week with the...
The only problem is that we have all the listeners on the show right now.
Anybody got anything to finish? Lori, it was great again to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Wait, let's do it.
I thought maybe you'd have one news story in the year since you've been on, but it's like...
Too much to ask to get anything prepared.
But now I have to go feed my dog.
Wow, right at 5:30.
Yeah.
Like that. Or the dog will eat you with
No,
terror.
he has to take an antibiotic, and it makes him, it upsets his stomach, so there's a whole sequence of events that if I start now, hopefully he'll eat by 6:30.
I was trying to make it like a scary Halloween thing, but you just kind of went...
I just glossed right over it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys that in my yard there's a scary thing? This guy, it's like a fishing... It's a skeleton fishing.
Mark, did you hit your head or something?
Fell through my roof last week.
Oh, that's probably it.
They have been a little off since then. All right, so I should wrap it up. Laura, will you wait? You want to wait till we wrap it up? Or you?
Yeah, just go feed your dog, Laura. That's what they would do on Johnny Carson. Like, just kind of leave. It was nice seeing you guys. I'll see you later. Like, oh, well.
Produced by
Father.
Pirate Policeman. Music by Meggie Yellox. Don't kill your wife.
Email.
Put your phone down. Put your phone down.
Yeah.
And when all else fails, stick with the mag room, because everything else is cream cheese.
Ooh, ooh, I like my groom. I like my groom. Ooh, ooh, my groom is good. My groom is good. Ooh, ooh, I like my groom. I like my groom. Ooh, ooh, my groom is good. My groom is good. The my groom's good. Ooh, ooh, I like my groom. I like my groom. Ooh, ooh, my groom is good. My groom is good.
I didn't read it, no.
Did you know
Just
that you were
because-
the only two parts in this story?
I didn't. Just because I work all day and eat in restaurants and walk at night.